Hi everybody, welcome back to Conversations by the Sea, podcast about mental health and running a business and well-being and all that kind of stuff. My name's Ellen.
Hiya, I'm Craig,
And we've got a lovely,
as you know.
Yes, and we've got a lovely guest today, Kate Watson.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
First of all, Kate, do you want to introduce yourself and what you do and like how you started doing what you do? Better than me introducing you.
Oh, wow. Okay, then. So I'm what's called a data privacy and digital skills consultant, although I hate that word consultant because it covers a multitude of sins. But basically, all things digital skills, so software and etc., and helping people use it better and get more out of it. And the data privacy side of things, it's really making sure that businesses, and I concentrate primarily on small businesses, although I do work with larger ones, making sure that they are looking after their customers' data properly, and keeping them right as well. So that's kind of me.
So did you do that kind of role in a company before you started doing it for yourself?
So if we go, because I'm really old, because I'm 57, my sort of, I suppose it goes back probably about, well, we're going over 30 years now, so not probably nearer 40, which is quite worrying. But yeah, I worked in the insurance sector in the 1980s, and I was responsible for compliance with when we would onboard agents and things like that. So I used to look after all their training and the compliance side of things. And part of that was using the, very different now to what it was in the mid 80s, but still did have technology. So it wasn't all caves. But yeah, getting people used to using the stuff that we would issue them with, and also making sure that they complied with data protection, because it was a thing back then. That's one of the things that's getting across to people now, is that it didn't just suddenly appear in 2018. It's been around for a long time. And just making sure that they were registered with the ICO, that they were looking after the data. So it's been kind of over a long period, and I've threaded through even, sort of different jobs I've done and meandered to where I am now. Yes, that's I've been doing it a while.
Yeah. So was that like a trigger that made you go out on your own and start like CMLW, or like start doing it yourself?
To do this, because I've always been involved in, really since I was 16 years old, I've always been interested in IT and technology and things like that, but didn't kind of do it for a day job until my children came along. Really, it was a combination of circumstances, which probably would take a lot longer than just our podcast to tell you. But yeah, effectively, I always wanted to be able to work and look after the girls as well. So that self-employment kind of always made sense to me, really, and the freedom of it and stuff. So when that eventuality happens, that was the kind of trigger. And also I'd bought a company which failed spectacularly, which I won't bore you with the details, which wasn't in IT and technology. So I kind of lost. I had a toddler and I was 8 months pregnant, and I lost everything.
Oh my God.
So absolutely everything, had nothing. But had everything, because I had my two girls who were healthy and happy. So it's one of those situations where it's only one way, and that's up. I thought, well, I've got an opportunity now to do something I actually enjoy doing. Because before it failed spectacularly, it was moderately successful, and I was kind of trapped, really. So because I was employing staff and stuff like that. So if anything, it just kind of released me. Yeah. So sorry, that's a news headline in the background. Forgot to turn that up.
What kind of business was that one, Kate, compared to this?
It was, I was an estate agency, and ironically, I was an independent financial advisor. So yeah, obviously not so good at giving myself the financial advice. But yeah, we had it. There was a combination of factors, as I say, which I won't go into. But yeah, you learn a lot when you go bankrupt. You learn a lot about what's important as well. So I wouldn't. I'm in the habit of not regretting anything anyway, pretty much. So I learned an awful lot, and you also learn a lot about who's with you and who's only with you because you're successful.
Because of your success, yeah. We're definitely
and that's really good to take away.
I definitely feel you when you say, like, no, like not regretting things because because sometimes like the worst, well, almost always with us, like the really bad stuff that's happened to us have always led to like better things in the long run, whether it's like personal relationships or career moves or something. Like at the time
Yeah.
you might be thinking this could never ever turn into a good thing, but then before you know it, another opportunity comes along, or you realize that that thing that you were holding on to, whether it was a job, a corporate job, or business or something, was actually not good for your health or something. So yeah, we're definitely firm believers in that, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely.
How did you go from like, losing everything to getting that like your new business set up? Like, what was that like?
Well, when I with the girl. So as I say, it was going to be something that I could do around the children because it was just me. Again, that's another backstory for another day. You probably need me about 4 times to tell you all
You
this.
start your own
Anyway.
podcast, Kate. That's
so yeah, it was really something that could work around to say the girls. So and self-employment always, I didn't want anyone to say you can't go to the school fair because you've got to be at work, or you can't do. I wanted to be able to choose, and the only option, even with the best employees in the world, you generally, your ultimate freedom is being self-employed.
Yeah.
So it was I had a lot of support from parents and family as well, which is would be forever grateful for, because nobody does it on their own. Even if you're on your own, you're not actually on your own. You've got friends and people that you rely on. So yeah, I started off years and years ago doing websites. Funnily enough, when websites were a lot easier to do than they are now. So kudos to you guys for. It's a lot more complex now than it used to be back in the day.
I still think that like back in the day it was a lot. It had its complexities because it was like there was less out of the box solutions and more like you were restricted by what you could do, and it was all kind of a bit custom back then, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Kind of miss that aesthetic of like old HTML websites with like
sites.
Do you remember how we always used to have like little visitor counters on them and like
all that kind of stuff,
like snowing at Christmas?
Yeah,
trailing mice.
And the
the
mouse would
I
change.
love the trailing. I love the trailing mouse. I did.
I miss that stuff.
Pop a bit of that on Connor by the Sea. Weather update or something.
Did have a retro one, didn't you? Did you go to the retro site? Yeah. But yeah, so that was kind of, Sophie was in a pram really when I used to, and that sort of came out from as I was starting to with the still had the original business. So I did the website for the estate agency, and we had our computers were all networked together. So I did all that because that was I'd got an interest in that anyway. So yeah, it was quite sort of ahead of its time in some ways.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff, it's nice to be able to now to give people that historical context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So that probably leads us into like the topic that I really want to talk about with you, which is around like inclusivity and ageism in the digital world, and not just sexism but ageism in general, because we've talked about this a lot, just me and you in like casual conversation, just around what it's like being a woman in technology, and we talked about it last week when we did an episode about working with your partner, and how a lot of the time a client will think that maybe Craig's the main decision maker or the main
yes, that happens to me a lot.
He's the one who they have to like impress. In reality, I'm probably more likely to say no. Craig's like, what do you think?
No, yeah, I'm just a lovable oaf in the
I mean, you've only been in the
I used to get that.
Months,
I used to get that a lot. Used to get that a lot with the business, because we had somebody working in the, again, backstory, had somebody working in the business who was a valuer, and because he was the man with the suit, and I wore this. I had the same. Had like a corporate uniform, so that the girls and I all wore the same thing. So yeah, can I talk shit on
itself, like why the women all have to wear uniform, but then the man can just wear a suit? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's at different times, but I mean, we did. I mean, we kind of did. I suppose really, Caroline and Lita and I, because we picked uniforms that were dead easy to wash, well, like shift dresses, dead easy to wash and dead easy to wear, and it kind of made everything sort of match, But yeah, it is this kind of suit thing. Although I would have loved to have put him in a shift dress. I think that would have been good.
I mean, it's still a thing.
They just naturally assume the man.
They
you know,
assume
or
that the man's like the main person that they need to impress, or the decision maker, or
Uh-huh.
whatever.
It's funny because in my industry, like, well, in marketing agency experience, like almost most of my prominent client contacts have been women. And yeah, like
that's because marketing managers are often women, but the marketing manager often isn't the end decision maker, it's the CEO or the MD. So that female who you're dealing with as the agency person probably then has to go to traditionally a male person to get the sign off on the budget or whatever.
yeah,
Like from a financial side of things, often it's the man, or people assume it's the man that makes the decision about whether money's going to get spent or not.
yeah. Well, the number of times, not so much now, whether that's just I don't see as many people now, I don't know, but they'll go, then what does your husband do? I go, so you've made an assumption that I'm, heterosexual.
Yeah.
Also, you've made an assumption that I'm married, and that I'm just kind of sort of sitting there waiting for somebody to sort of,
even if those things,
like Sophia the robot,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for someone to switch me on and go, hello, and start talking to people. So, yeah, it's but in terms of technology and ageism, so I'll tick both boxes there because 57-year-old woman, and quite often people will start explaining to me, and I won't, because I'm not in the business of making people look daft, even if they're kind of their ego is taken over. But just a case of sort of quietly listening to what they say, and then just as you start to talk, they go, oh dear, and then they realise, yeah, you could have made me look stupid then. Yeah, I could have done.
Yeah. So have you had that? I take it that you've had kind of that mansplain situation.
Oh, yes.
People started trying to tell you something about something that you're actually.
Oh yeah,
specialist in.
Loads.
How do you feel like? Because obviously we don't really get to experience this, but I'm probably guilty in the past of working with like older colleagues who, are maybe not so digitally savvy. So, I always try and be understanding and explanatory and stuff, but like how do you feel ageism impacts people in the digital sector?
I think the most difficult thing with technology generally, I think, and it's not necessarily just an ageist thing I've found, is the confidence side of things. So it's a lot of the stuff that I do when it comes to training is letting people know that everybody doesn't know everything. Everybody does not know everything about everything, and when it comes to technology, absolutely not, because it changes all the time. It's the majority of getting use out of the technology is having your confidence, knowing who to ask and where to look it up.
Yeah,
that's and it's giving that one of the big revelations for me, which I kind of knew on a sort of unconscious level, but was working inside an IT department and seeing somebody Google something for the first time, and I was like, oh, so you don't know everything then?
Yeah.
But that was really kind of like empowering, really, because that's okay, because then they're not doing that because they're incompetent. They're doing that because you need to research things.
Yeah.
Every time you come across something new, it's we're not born with all this knowledge in our head. So it's getting that across to people that are not confident generally, because technology, like a lot of things like literacy and stuff like that now, because digital literacy is so important. There's years and years ago when people couldn't read and they would just hide it and they would get by because they wouldn't want to admit they couldn't read, which didn't mean they were stupid, just meant they couldn't read. Nobody taught them.
Yeah.
And it's the same sort of thing. That, and also the kind of the banter, which sometimes people aren't even doing maliciously. I'm a proper dunce with computers. I am.
Yeah.
And people say that to me a lot, and I'll go, you're not. I sit sit me down in your day job and then say, on you go and walk away. I wouldn't have a clue. So it's making people's mindset so that they then.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I also think that like people forget that like our generation, it's the same as the generation that's coming up after us. Like our generation grew up, we were using computers from that really important like age where your brain's like really developing. So computers were like part of our brain development, whereas your generation, you've learned how to use a computer as an adult to an extent. So like, and then people like that we encounter that are older in the workplace, and younger people think, oh god, they don't know what they're doing with the computer. We like joke with like can't press, they don't know where that button is, but it's the intuition that comes with technology that you only develop if you've used it really, really young, and it can be quite hard when you're older. Do you have to like learn that practically rather than learn it like but then you've got it even more where you've got like our nephews are sitting like doing stuff on like one of our nephews is like 2 and he's on the phone and he can unlock it and he can do this, and I think, God, like we didn't have smartphones till 20 or something or older, so learning how to use a smartphone was a conscious decision for us, whereas for that generation, he's like, we've got video call him and he hangs up on us,
Yeah,
like,
they're like digitally native,
and he knows exactly what he's doing. So it's like, that's what we were like with computers, whereas now he's like that with smartphones. And then
I think the age, like, we're at a funny age because like 29, 30, 31-ish era, or all the people where like were right at the like edge of each change of technology,
the start of the
so
internet,
even people a few years older than us got kind of left behind. Like my sister's pretty rubbish at like technology, and she's only 5 years older than me, but I was lucky enough to have grown up in the time when you know, like it originally was floppy disks, and then we went to CD-ROM, and like I think my first PC was Windows 98, maybe not 95. So I like had to, I think what I'm trying to get at is like our generation was lucky in a way because we learned the idea of like adapting to new technology. And I think older people like my mom, like they've just been suddenly like, they didn't really get involved back then, even though they existed. You know, it wasn't like I was using it was the house computer.
Yeah, it was like a house computer, but the kids were using it.
We weren't that interested in it. Whereas like once smartphones and stuff became,
oh my God, speak of the devil.
I know she's just rang me, and I was just trying to ring you.
As soon as he starts talking about his mom, she's ringing us. But then I think there's a bit of reverse ageism sometimes, because and I'm definitely responsible for this, but I used to have a lot of younger staff on my team when I worked in corporate, and they didn't know floppy disks, and they didn't know like a dial-up, and we played the dial-up tone, and they'd never heard it before and stuff, and we'd be like laughing at them. And I think like that, obviously they were like just taking it on the chin, but also I think that attitude then gets reflected on older people who don't know how to do,
I think there's a lot of pressure right across the board, because what I've found is, in terms of technology in schools, and not all schools, some schools are great when it comes to teaching IT, but it's not kind of with a context. So what I've found is I really, people people in their 20s and stuff should be running rings around me now. And there are a lot of instances where they come into a workplace and they haven't been given any education on how to apply these things in the context of business. So
people like your sister who's in her early 30s, who like it's amazing on a smartphone because that's what you use day to day, but sometimes when you people like on a computer, unless you're using a computer for your job, and then some people will not use a computer for a job, and then they'll start a new job, and it's like the fear of asking. I suppose a lot of it's just around fear of embarrassment, which
it's absolutely not wanting to do something.
Or people
because it only takes one person.
Or even someone who's going to be using it, mostly going to be using a PC and then goes in work at an agency and they'll be given a Mac.
I think it's more common the other way around. I think
growing up using a Mac.
I think it's more common for like like young like trendy kids to be using iPhones and Macs and stuff at home, and then be going, but you might use your PC like once a week at school, whereas you use your MacBook every day, and then all of a sudden you go into it. That's what I mean. Younger, like there'll be challenges in every generation, is what I'm trying to get at.
I think it's that expectation. So with the older people, there's an expectation that they don't know because of their age. With younger people, there's a pressure because everybody expects them to know. So they come into the workplace and then all of a sudden they're going, young Billy will know how to do that. He's thinking, no, I don't. No, I don't. Don't ask me.
Know how to do something on Excel. He's like, I've never used Excel. I can make it. I've got like 1 million followers on TikTok, but I can't do this.
And people will look at him and go, what do you mean you don't know? And you think, well, has he ever had any reason to know? And it's the confidence thing with people, which is the big thing with me, and telling people it's all right not to know. It's to kind of just build that basis of confidence with it. And I mean, the main one that I will ask about is Excel. You mentioned it there. And that's the one that one of the other big revelations for me was when the Chartered Institute of Management started to ask me to go and speak to accountants about Excel. And I went, you're having a laugh, aren't you? That, so my prejudice came in there because I thought, well, accountants, of course, they're bound to know how Excel works.
Yeah.
But, discovered that's accountancy is what they do. Working with spreadsheets isn't what they do. So it's real, you know, it's a kind of real eye opener to people. So it's just, for me, I suppose what drives me is when I see people IT bullying, or any form of bullying, but IT is used a lot to bully and intimidate people and make them feel inadequate. You know, oh, do you not know how to do that? Oh yeah, there's June, she's an idiot with IT. And you think, how would you wouldn't get away with saying that about anything else?
Yeah. So do you think that in terms of like IT bullying, because I think that's an interesting topic, do you think that there's like a gender difference where maybe like would a man be more likely, less likely to, my assumption based on no data at all, is that men are like less likely to ask for help. But I don't know. Do you think that because they're more nervous about seeming stupid because, you know, they feel like they should know everything, or what do you think is like?
I don't know whether, and this is just subjective, or just based on my sort of experience, if you like, but I don't know whether that, I think both men and women are both frightened to ask, in depending on the environment and depending on the different way. So men will avoidance is I've found was a big thing. I did some training for some guys, and we filled the training needs analysis, and they knew everything. Yeah. So because they thought, I'll get me out of the training. So, which, you know, would have worked had they not ticked things like, you know, VBA programming and stuff like that. And I thought, knocking bet, you might be wrong with a knocking bet that you're not an expert at that. With the job that you're doing.
This is like, I read somewhere that like when there's a job application, like a job ad, that a man will apply for the job if they can only do like a few of the things that, you know how they'll say like essential skills. Typically a man would apply if he can only do a few of them and just like totally wing it, whereas a woman would only apply if she really felt like she could do all of the things.
Yeah,
she would apply. So like a man would be more likely to kind
I think that's more of a personality thing.
I don't know. Do you not think that like, I mean, that was like that was a brief, like that was off data, that, but obviously you're not going to sit there and say you can do everything so you get out of training, because you're probably humble enough to realize they don't know everything.
Yeah, no, I think it kind of cycles back to when you were saying about teaching people confidence, Kate, because like really, I think like any skill can be learned. You just have to be confident enough to, especially like once you know how to Google things, you sorted. Really, it's just having the confidence to know how to Google things,
and when you know where to look, so you know that like which forums are the right place. So if you have a question on office forums really good, or you know, like it's not that these, it's not like people like us, who young people who work in technology, we don't know everything. We just know how to trust what we're finding.
Exactly, and how to research. It's actually I one of the workshops I do is learning how to learn. It's basically, you know, how do we, and I talk about that a lot in sessions, is I'll say, imagine I didn't know how to do this, or I'll say, or I'll start doing it, I'll go, I do know how to do this, I'm just showing you what you would do if you didn't know how to do this, kind of thing. And just, if people, it's not to turn them into techies, or it's not to turn them, because, you know, I love technology, but a lot of people don't. And it's also, if you find something really dull, it's hard to learn as well. So it's trying to kind of get people into a situation, as far as the learning is concerned, that, which is the same with all of us, is make it enjoyable and relate it to something that there's a win for them. So, you know, you're going to learn about spreadsheets, which just make you find really boring, but we're going to make it interesting for you, and it's going to give you a win because, and then it's easier for people to learn it. But yeah, confidence and actually knowing where to look and knowing it's okay to look. So I'll do that, you know, on webinars. I'll go and, you know, we'll have a little cheeky look on Google, and you see people going, but that's all right. It's not a crime. It's not a crime to ask someone. It's not a crime not to know. But to get to that stage, you need to have built a certain level of confidence, because people will reflect that back at you, which, you know, it only kind of displays their own insecurities. Well, they go, "Oh, thought you were the expert," or "Thought you did not know how to do that." And you have to have a certain level of confidence to be able to you know, rebut those things and realize that's more about the person that's saying it to you than it is about yourself.
So you got any final questions for Kate around that? I'm just thinking, what I was going to ask is, what would you say to somebody who was like watching this or listening to this and felt really like lacking in confidence, but was too nervous to, you know, ask for help? But what you've just said there is probably an answer to that. And it's just the idea that it's all right to ask for help if you've got to I mean, I ask Kate for help all the time, or I ask it's not just technology. I've kind of grown as a self-employed person. You grow a network of people because you're not working at an office. So you can't just ask anyone. You grow a network of people that you think, well, that's the person for that. And I don't think asking for help with Excel or something is any different to me asking our accountant for him to explain to me a tax code because I don't understand.
Yeah,
it's almost like it's more acceptable for people to not know about tax than it is to not know about IT. But actually, I don't know about tax.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing.
Like
it's for me, it's the shame that gets attached to it, and that's what I want to try and break. Is to say that it's all why should you know, and to be able to open the door to all the possibilities. Because there is so much stuff sitting on people's desktops now, which would save them loads of time. They would have so much less stress, if they were able to leverage that technology to benefit them. So yeah, just ask, and if people try and make you feel like an idiot, just know that says everything about them and nothing about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I have to send me mum on Kate's.
I know I've already been talking about getting
She's a perfect candidate because she's 57 and has no digital confidence whatsoever. She's used computers throughout her life on jobs, but she still struggles to take a screenshot.
I think a lot of it's because of the most recent job experience as well. There was no formal training.
People have bullied her for it and stuff.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
Just assume,
people just get
someone will show. It's the nature of show you how to do this thing. Showed you. Now you should know how to do it. That's not how showing people how to do things works.
Exactly.
You don't just show them once. Sometimes because the next scenario might be slightly different and there might be a slightly different element to it. So yeah, we're definitely going to get Lorraine and Kate talking about that, because I think what we're going to do when she starts working with us, I'm going to do some video guides and stuff, just very quickly how to use Hootsuite or something, because I know that you can do it. It's just the fact that you might need to watch the video a few times. And
exactly, I do that with stuff all the time for Turk, one of the companies I work with. And a lot of the other stuff I'll do is you want some of people go back. My memory's hideous, so I will record something so I can go back and go, how do I do that again?
Yeah.
So it's it's the remember, and also if you don't use it all the time. So I've just done a whole load of set of Microsoft project training and said to the trainers, I had to refresh on this again because I don't use project every day and I haven't trained on it in 18 months, so I've forgotten half of it. So it's letting people know that's okay. And ways to, it's strategies to be able to use it.
She just need, I think a lot of people probably at that age, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Kate, just need the confidence to just
absolutely
start getting
and how making a mistake is not the worst thing in the world as well.
Yeah,
if you
exactly
do something obviously with the data privacy side of things, it's a bit different, but if you're at an admin level and or customer services and you make a mistake because you've accidentally there's always backups, there's always undo, there's always things that come
exactly
it's disappeared, or actually it's not disappeared, it's just
yeah, it's that confidence. It's that because either at some point someone will go, oh, don't press that, or what have you done? IT departments, there's a lot of good ones, but they're absolutely might never say, no, what have you done? You think, and I tell a scenario where I was sat watching an IT engineer and somebody rang up and he said, oh, what have you done now? And he spotted something on his console that he hadn't done, unticked it. He said, try it now. She went, oh, it's work. He said, see, you won't do that again. I thought, oh.
It was him, yeah.
And that I think
even if that person had been in the wrong, I say she because I don't know if you said he or she, but maybe I just falsely assumed she.
No, but I know what you mean.
The
IT person,
even if he hadn't have done anything wrong, and
shouldn't do it like that anyway.
And it had been their fault. I think that it's that reinforcement of
exactly
bias about that person that's crap at the computer. It's really disempowering to people. Instead, it should just be look, you can do it. I try and do that. I lose patience sometimes with my mum when I'm trying to show something on her phone. But I do always say to her, you can do this yourself. You know how to Google things. You know how to.
She was she used to have all of our pictures saved on her phone and now they're all on Google Photos. And she's done, we started that off, but she's done that all herself now. And now she looks at stuff on Google Photos. I've seen her doing things that it's took a little while, but I've seen her learn those skills.
It is a confidence thing.
Yeah.
It's the confidence, it's knowing, people will say to me, saying quite often is people of a certain age, or say, you know, oh, I'm not very good. And I go, you're better than you realise you are. And you'll just have to trust me when I tell you that. You are actually better, not better than you realise you are. And then as they go and do something, they go, I can do this, can't I? Go, I thought you could.
Exactly.
I thought you could. And it's lovely seeing people blossom and get that. And then they start to cut. And you know, a lot of the stuff that I've discovered has been people telling me stuff. So they've gone, oh, actually, I tried it like this. And I go, oh, I'm going to do it that way.
Yeah.
From now on. You know, and they're like, oh, I told Kate something. That's brilliant. You know, it's that kind of, it's just seeing people get the benefit of all the technology. It's fantastic. You know, I know there's a lot of awful stuff, but there's so many benefits, and it's hooking people up with those benefits and giving them a bit of power, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's pretty much a good place to end, I think. Craig's got an appointment, so.
Yeah, sorry, I'm pushed for time today. I've got to jump out.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I didn't think I was going to be doing that today.
No, I've got to thank you for your time. It's been really interesting. I think it's a subject you could you could almost spend endless amounts of time talking about it, because it's so prevalent in it's so rare that I joined a digital marketing agency and there's anyone there over the age of 40 that isn't in like a senior support role, like accountancy or something, not even senior management.
Oh no, yeah, I suppose like the person that does the invoice or the payroll.
Yeah, it's usually like an older person, and that's it. Like, it's very rare to see like older people in any like digital role, and I think it's a shame, because there's no reason that people, especially I think like as you get older and your physical ability declines, like I'm talking like 60 plus, people who can't like retire yet. Like, digital jobs almost offer the perfect haven for them, because you can just sit at your desk. But obviously they've been kind of like pushed out by the expectation of.
Talk about accessibility. If you're disabled, being able to work the way we work now. If you've got kids at home, I mean, that was it was technology that meant I could work and look after the kids at the same time. So, the internet, I love the internet. I still get excited by the internet every day.
Same. So I'll drop a link below to Kate's excellent newsletter that she does, which often has some very good tips for digital skills. And every week I learn a new keyboard shortcut or something like that I've been using. So
it's the ones you forget as well, isn't it? And then because I have to research them, which is why I love doing the stuff, because I'll think, right, what am I going to do this week? And I'll go research something. So things like my latest one was pressing, I think it's Control and 0 to automatically resize the browser back to 100%. I thought, this is so much easier now, isn't it? Press the, I think it's Control and 0.
Windows dot emoji keyboard, that's changed my life. And I tell so many people about that now.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I love that. Use it every day.
Yeah, I use it every day as well. I don't know how I use emojis without it. So, especially for social media and LinkedIn posts and stuff, definitely.
It's all those little things, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Kate. I think it's been a really interesting discussion.
It has. Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking me. It's a pleasure.
On Sunday or Monday, probably.
Oh, no. It's good you washed my hair last night, isn't it, really?
Well, I feel like I rolled out of bed into networking into this, so don't worry, no efforts were made.
All right, then. See you soon.
Okay, thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.